minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
The Kerbylon project was a dream given form. Its mission, to slip the surly bonds of Kerbal, to explore outer space, to reach for the horizon, to seek to strive, to never fall, to not go quietly into that good night. This is the Kerbylon project. Hello and welcome to the Kerbylon project. This is a game called Kerbal Space Program, and it lets you fly to the moon at the moment. This game is still in development, and they're planning on adding a lot more stuff. They're planning on adding space stations and docking and persistent spacecraft and other planets, and it's really cool. It's a mixture between a game and a simulation, in that you have to sort of use proper orbital mechanics in order to navigate once you get up there. You can't just point your ship and thrust. You know, it's a good simulation. It does things like the structural integrity of the ship, the weight, the balance, airflow over flight surfaces. It's all really good. The components of the base game are still a bit limited, but you can get to the moon and back. So that's my plan. The first thing I want to do is learn how to get to the moon and back using the base parts. Then, if they haven't added the components that I want to play with by the time I do that, I will install one of the mod packs which are available for this game to allow me to have space planes and flight services and all sorts of other stuff. And, you know, let's see what we can do. So first we just need to orbit and get back safely to Kerbal. So we go to the vehicle assembly building and choose our command module. There's probably going to be other command modules available as we go. We can see here we have various bits of information for it. At the moment you can buy anything and use anything, but they plan on adding a campaign mode to this, whereby you have to actually deal with budgets and train astronauts and all that sort of stuff. So once that gets introduced to the game, this is going to become a lot more challenging. The important information on this is things like the mass, the drag, so when you're in the atmosphere, how much it slows you down, the maximum temperature it can withstand. Now they haven't introduced re-entry heating yet, but they will do. Impact tolerance, you know, how likely is it to break. And this thing also has the crew capacity and max SAS torque. Now SAS stands for ship attitude stability or anti-sickness system and stuff like that. Basically it's a load of gyroscopes which let you rotate the ship. So this is the only one available right now, so we will accept that. And here we can see, that sounds a bit loud. It could just be my headphones are turned up. There we go. So you can grab these parts and you can fit them to this. So we've got, this is propulsion, so we have fuel tanks, we have 3 different rockets with different thrust amounts, burn rates, etc. Some of them also have thrust vectoring, which means you can actually use the thrust to help you steer. And this is a solid rocket fuel booster. Command and control, we have an advanced SAS module. This is essentially a computer which will hook into all the control surfaces on your ship and let you autopilot. This is an RCS thruster block, rocket control system. You dot these around your spaceship to help you spin and maneuver in space when those gyroscopes aren't quite up to the job. And this is essentially a bank of gyroscopes. So again, you can adjust your attitude and stuff in space a lot more smoothly. On structural, we have fuel ducts if you want to change how your fuel is passing around. We have landing struts for when you go to the moon. We have radial decouplers, which let you add stuff to the side. Decouplers, this is how the most efficient way to get to orbit is by staging. Now by that we mean that we fire a lower rocket that's really powerful, and when it's run out of fuel, we use a decoupler to split our spaceship in part, and then we fire a second engine. Now the advantage of that is that second engine is now not having to haul around the weight of that previous stage. You know, the empty fuel tanks, essentially. That's what staging's all about, is getting rid of those empty fuel tanks. We have structural struts, and we have some control surfaces, which let you control your direction and stuff while you're in the atmosphere. Once you're in space, they don't do anything anymore. We have a parachute, which I'm going to put to the top of this, because at the moment this is the most effective way of getting your spaceship down. And that's it really, we don't have anything on crew or decals yet. And I'm sure they're going to add lots more to this later. So I want to get this thing into orbit. Once we're deorbiting and landing, do I want landing struts on this? That might be interesting. You can set a radial symmetry here. Will it let me... Okay. It won't let me fit that on there directly, but maybe if I make my advanced SAS module stay with this thing, let's say it's really expensive, so you know, we don't want to keep throwing that away, so we want this to be a recoverable craft, so see, I can do that. So when I activate it, those landing legs will swing around, and that way, if I do a splashdown on the ocean, I'm fine. If I'm coming down on land, I can deploy those. Right, so at the moment we're not going to have any power on this thing when we return to Earth, so I'm going to stick a decoupler on there now. Now you can see here this display on the right hand side of the screen. This is our staging. Each time I activate a staging, any decouplers in that stage will fire, and any rockets on the next stage will become activated. So I need a rocket to be firing while I'm in space. Essentially something for orbital maneuvers. What have we got? We've got two fuel tanks, a really big one and a smaller one. Let's try the really big one. And I don't really need a powerful engine, but I do want something which will burn rate 50. I'm going to try this one. It's got a really low burn rate, so the fuel in that tank will last a long time. It doesn't have much thrust, but once you're out in orbit, you don't need that much. So this is my orbiting stage. I figure that this will let me maneuver, adjust my orbit, and deorbit. So now I need a stage to get me into orbit. So again, I throw a decoupler on there, like so. I'm going to need a lot more fuel. So where's the really big fuel tanks? There we go. And that's a really powerful push. So it's got max thrust of 200, but it's got a relatively high burn rate. In the lower atmosphere, it would be nice if I had some stability. So I've got these two. So again, I've got radial symmetry turned on, so we'll try 3 of them there. I don't think I need any on this stage. So, staging. You can see when you point to this, it highlights the components that are involved. So my first stage is simply going to be this rocket engine. Then on my second stage, that'll decouple and activate this engine. In fact, if I drag this decoupler up there, I think that means that when I activate this stage, this coupler will fire and that engine will activate at the same time. And then that's my decoupler for when I want to come back down. So, I don't know, I've never actually made it to orbit yet. I have been playing with the controls a bit, just so you know, I've got some piloting ability. Oh, we need a name for this thing. This is the Kerbylon project Orbiter Mark 1. So hit save, and we go to the launch pad. Here we go. So here we can see mission control. Try and get a reasonable view on this thing. I've got free camera controls. Now, what are we looking at here? On the left hand side you can see the staging, which will also give me information on fuel tanks and damage. On the bottom right you can see my control surfaces. So there you can see I'm yawing, pitching and rolling. I've also got throttle control. Now if you look in the center of the bottom of the screen in the center, there we go. This is what's known as our nav ball. This has various information about our direction of heading and so on, which we'll sort of cover as we come to it. You can also see a throttle control on one side, G-force control on the other side. I can turn SAS, that's the autopilot, auto correction stuff, on and off. I can also switch from fine controls to gross controls. I'll stay on gross controls for now. I want SAS on for launch. I want to throttle up. And that's it. We'll activate the first stage and we'll see how far we get. Now I'm going to try and keep my Kerbals alive. But the thing about Kerbals is, you know, they don't care that much about their own personal lives. That, you know, they're like a group hive mind thing. You know, and at the moment they only have 3 names: Bill, Jebediah, and Bob. You know, they do have a think tank in process trying to come up with other names. You know, because they're starting to find it a bit confusing that the only people in their entire civilization are called Bill, Jeb, and Bob. But, you know, anyway, let's launch. Oh, it's a bit slow. I might need a bit more thrust. But we're going nice and straight. I want to be heading east. So let me turn off SAS. Oh no, wrong way. Wrong way. Heading east. See, I've got a heading control. Where's east gone? Okay, this way. Down. No. Wrong way. Come on. I want this on this 90-degree line because that's a nice orbital path. Okay, so you can see that the sort of V-shaped orange thing on the nav ball. The nav ball is what I'm watching here. Oh, I'm losing it. Let's turn SAS back on. You keep me straight. Nah, you see, I haven't got the control surfaces. I can't... It's not letting me pull up. Okay, abort, abort. Ah, no. I'm not decoupling. I'm not decoupling. No, these Kerbals have had it. No, I'm not sure what's gone wrong. It's not separating. Okay. As you can see, Jebediah in the middle, he's perfectly happy to be heading straight for the ocean at high speed. Okay. As a first attempt, that wasn't that good. Let's see what happened. See, here we have the flight events. Stack decoupler was damaged by engine exhaust from liquid engine 3. Okay, I think what was happening is my upper engines were firing. So they were essentially firing into the decoupler, and they sort of burnt it out. So let's return to the vehicle assembly building and take a look at our staging here. Now, is it because I moved that decoupler? Or maybe I shouldn't have. That engine's definitely up there, and it's not with those engines. Let's try this again. Although I did have a problem with not having enough control, didn't I? So what if I put some extra control surfaces? See, these are going to be dead weight once I make it into orbit, so let's try there. That looks pretty good, I think. So I've changed my staging and added some wings. So it's an iteration, you know. So let's call this the 1A. You know, I've made very minor adjustments to the base design, so we'll save that and let's try launching again.